Hey Crosspointe family and anybody else that may be joining into this video. It's been a while since I've been on. Daniel's been holding the fort down with these videos, been doing a great job at making these videos and putting them out. So anyway, hey, we are getting very close to the end of our study through the book of Ecclesiastes that we began the second week of August, I believe. And so I think I counted this morning right at 19, 20 sermons through these 11 and a half, or the 11 and a half chapters, or 10 and a half chapters we've done as we got halfway through chapter 11 this past Sunday. And so I just want to kind of look back and kind of bring some things to you who were here Sunday, but also maybe weren't here Sunday, and just kind of bring us up to speed. And so the reality is, as we've spent so much time in the book of Ecclesiastes, there's a tendency for us to get just focused on the hevel or the frustration or the perplexity of life. The uncertainty of life oftentimes can maybe even cripple us. That we could get to a point of going, hey man, what's the point of even trying? If everything is so certain, what's the point of trying to live a godly, wise life? What's the point of being wise with my possessions or my finances? Or what's the point of really doing anything in life if it's all left to chance? Now, we don't believe in chance. We believe that the word that the Kohelet, the preacher of Ecclesiastes, uses for chance is really happenings that the rain falls on the just and the unjust, to use Jesus's words, that ultimately life and death happen to every one of us. Well, as the Kohelet is finishing up his sermon that we know as the book of Ecclesiastes, he doesn't want us to leave. He doesn't want to leave us into a place that we're frozen, if you will, if we are skeptical to even live life. Because ultimately, under the sun, I believe the Kohelet is trying to tell us, man, that life is still full of blessing, that life should still be celebrated, life should be lived. And so this past Sunday, I preached a sermon entitled in which, how do we live in the uncertainty of the world, or living certain in an uncertain world. And in chapter 11, ultimately, it begins with this picture of, it looks like financial advice, where ultimately for us to invest, to throw our bread upon the waters and wait for it to return, to give a portion to 7 or 8, that we should diversify our investments, if you will. And so what I talked about this past Sunday is the way that we live in an uncertain world is that we invest our time, our tears, our prayers, our words, our deeds, our thoughts, our whole lives. We invest it into things that we know that are certain. In an uncertain world, the answer is not to just live in a shell. It's not to recluse back. It's not to just, stick to our own, if you will. But we invest our lives, our time, our tears, our affections into things that we know are certain. So this morning or today, whenever you're reading this, I want to leave you with 5 things that I know to be certain. Number 1, I'm certain that the tomb is still empty and the throne is still occupied. That Christ is still victorious no matter what uncertainty is going on in this world. That 2,000 years ago, our Savior died upon a cross. He was placed in a grave, and then 3 days later, he rose again, defeating death, defeating the grave, defeating the injustice, defeating the cruelty, the evil. That he is risen. But not only that, but the throne is occupied. And there he sits as an intercessor for all who have believed in him, taking our prayers, our moanings, our struggles, and interceding on our behalf. We have the promise that as he's seated there, that the Father has promised him that he's going to make his enemies his footstool. I'm certain of those things. I'm also certain not only is the throne occupied, but the Spirit has descended. And he's at work in every single one of us who have claimed that we have claimed Christ, that we have come to know Jesus, that he's at work in us and through us to empower us through that which God has called us to. I am certain of that. I'm certain that God is still preparing for his son, a bride, through the preaching of the gospel as the church is being extended. The reign and the boundaries of the kingdom of the Son is growing each and every day as the gospel is being preached. I'm certain that the gospel still has the power to change lives. It is the only message that can bring people from death to life, from hopelessness to hope, from despair to life. I'm certain of that. And I'm certain that Christ one day will return and he'll make all things new, and that we will see all of our investment into those certain things, into this kingdom, will be worth it. So I encourage you, continue to invest in the certain in the world of uncertainties. That Christ is on the throne, so invest your tears, your fears, your prayers, your affections to a Savior who hears, that they will not be wasted. Invest your time into walking by the Spirit, because He can transform our life into the image of Christ. Invest your words in preaching of the gospel, because the Spirit will take those and use those to bring people from death to life. That invest your time in advancing the kingdom, because it's a promise the Father has made the Son that is certain that people will come to know Christ. Invest in praying for those who you may feel are too far gone. That on paper it seems like the grace of God can't reach them, but I am confident, I'm certain that the gospel still has the power to change life. So we invest in that. Invest in hoping to the return of Christ whenever all things will be made new. That sin and pain and darkness and death will be no more. And as I ended this past Sunday, that we won't live life under the sun, because there will be no more sun, because darkness will be done away with, and Revelation tells us that the glory of our Christ will be our light. So we invest in setting our focus, our attention, our affections in that direction. So how do we live life in an uncertain world? We invest in the certain, and those certain things we find in the Word. Hey, be here this Sunday, 10 a.m. Dr. Luke Johnson will be here with us to share the Word with us, and so I know you'll be looking forward to hear from him. If we can do anything for you, let us know. We love you. Be blessed.